Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us for the Mulholland Highway Improvements Phase 1 project workshop. I'm Tatiana Holden, Deputy Public Works Director, and with us tonight, I have city staff, Alba Limas, Associate Engineer, and Robert Yalda, Public Works Director. I also have her engineering consultant, M&S Engineers, here to present 60% design on the project. Just to give a quick overview of the project. This project is improvements of Mulholland Highway between Old Topanga Canyon West and Old Topanga Canyon East intersection with road safety and pedestrian improvements. And the study for this project was done by Michael Baker International and was completed in January of 2021. And we started working on the design in September. And this project actually, limits of this project goes all the way from Old Topanga Canyon intersection to the city limits, but this phase 1 is between two Old Topangas. And I'm pleased to give control of the screen to M&S Engineers. Michael Ip, he is a principal engineer with the company, and he is a project manager on this project. And he will be presenting the 60% design and project information for us. Thank you very much, Michael. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Tatiana. I'm familiar with this. Hopefully I can make this slide. So does everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so as Tatiana mentioned, the limits of this phase 1 is from Old Topanga Canyon Road West to Old Topanga Canyon East. You'll notice that there is the Wild Walnut Park just east of Old Topanga West over here. There's also the Dry Canyon Creek, which runs north of Mulholland Highway. There's the high school adjacent to Old Topanga Canyon Road east. Also, I'd like to just mention that along here, there is a large hillside at the approach of Old Topanga Canyon Road east that we do need to deal with. As far as the orange shading, this kind of denotes kind of the limits of the improvements that we're proposing. As far as the phase 1 goals, we want to improve the capacity of the Old Topanga Canyon Road intersections. And one of the main things that we'll be doing is signalizing the west intersection. We know that that corridor is heavily traveled, especially during the school commuting hours. So we definitely want to try to improve that stretch. We also need to improve the access to Wild Walnut Park, which is, as you said, as I showed you, that it's just east of that Old Topanga Canyon West road. And also preserve the scenic corridor, which really means to minimize the environmental impacts on this project. So as far as the phase 1 features, as we mentioned, there's going to be a new signalized intersection at Old Topanga Canyon Road West. We're going to widen the roadway along this stretch so that we can provide a much longer left turn pocket for both intersections as you're trying to get to Old Topanga Canyon East or West. You'll see on the orange here, we're going to, as part of this project, do some parking lot improvements as well as some accessibility improvements in the Wild Walnut Park. We're also going to improve the pedestrian access through this corridor. You'll see in red, this is we're proposing to cross the pedestrians over. I guess I call it kind of the east or the northerly side of this intersection. And then they would travel along the southerly side of Mulholland Highway. one of the reasons why we chose that is to try to minimize the impacts to the Dry Canyon Creek, as well as some of the trees along Mulholland Highway. Continuing, there will be retaining walls due to the tight corridor. There's going to be 3 retaining walls. There's going to be a bioswale. This is you saw in red in the previous slide where there's a sidewalk, and so this is going to be a bioswale along the sidewalk. And I think part of the reason why we're doing this is we definitely saw a lot of hillside sedimentation and flows coming off during major storm events. So we want to try to at least collect some of the sediments and so forth before it crosses over the road and into the creek. As far as safety improvements, we want to try to improve the line of sight throughout this corridor, trimming trees and so forth, and trying to minimize the obstructions. Also look at, there is guardrail, but we're going to also install guardrails just to make sure, like as far as high embankments and also fixed objects such as power poles and so forth, make sure they're shielded. As I mentioned, there's going to be 3 retaining walls. One of the ones at the approach of on Mulholland to the approach of Old Topanga Canyon East is going to be sizable. And so for that one, we want to try to, we're proposing actually a soil mill wall with rock texture so that it meshes with the corridor. Above the wall, there's going to be techo netting. It's going to be 2-tiered as well, as you know, it is quite high as far as the wall. The main thing here is that during the storm events, there is some hillside erosion concerns here. So hopefully with the combination of the soil mill walls and the techo netting, we can mitigate some of those erosion concerns. Kind of highlighting the intersections over here. This is the Old Topanga Canyon East at Calabasas High School. There is already a signal here. It will need to get modified because the intersection will get widened a little bit, and also there's going to be pedestrians as far as, you know, all the facilities for the pedestrians. We're also going to, as we mentioned, lengthen the left turn pocket on Mulholland. And I think this is going to work out in as far as the phasing and the timing, as it definitely is a heavy movement during the school time, as far as making that left, which means at that same time we could have the pedestrians cross over. For Old Topanga Canyon West intersection, as we talked about, there's going to be a new intersection, new signal here. The left turn pocket will be lengthened by widening the road. At the approach of Old Topanga Canyon West, you'll see that now there's going to be 2 lanes, one for left, one for right, so that will help with the congestion. And then we're going to formalize the access to Wild Walnut Park. And then you'll notice over here, we've got the city's going to be expanding the parking area for this park as well. One last thing, we noticed also during the storm event, recent storm event, there is a lot of water that does travel down Old Topanga Canyon West and cross over to on Mulholland Highway. So as part of this project, we are installing some drainage facilities to hopefully minimize or decrease the amount of flow that's going to go cross over Mulholland. As far as the project schedule, we're working on the design right now, and our goal is to get this thing out to bid and out to construction this summer. As far as the future phases, the whole project is 2.7 miles. So we'll tackle the remainder of the 2.7 miles. Some of the things that we'll be looking at is enhancing the safety as far as widening the road, and so that we can have larger shoulders and less obstructions. increasing the capacity at the Viewpoint School as far as the driveways in that area. And also there's hillside erosion concerns throughout this corridor that we'll be looking at to try to mitigate. If there's any additional questions, please contact Tatiana, who's the city project manager. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Tatiana.
Thank you, Michael. I would like to continue presentation with giving the overview of one of the city's project, one of the portion that city will be doing is city designing as part of this project. And after that, we will open it for comments and questions. City doing the in-house design for a median on Old Topanga Canyon intersection with Calabasas High School driveway to improve safety at that intersection, at that crosswalk. The goals of the project is to increase safety at that intersection by installing rapid flashing beacon, creating the area of refuge by constructing the median island, and install new signs or install signs at new locations to increasing visibility for ongoing traffic. As part of this project, we will install the rapid flashing beacon at the crosswalk where the median will be located, and the median marked crosswalk proving to reduce pedestrian crashes at the crossing. We also will be installing a rectangular rapid flashing beacon at the median, which will be at good angle and line of sight for both southbound and northbound traffic. This is a quick overview of how the median will look like. And this is the median that was installed not so long ago at Old Topanga, also at Walmart near Park Ora. And the landscaping on this new median is proposed to be similar to what you see at this location. Thank you very much. And with that, we can open for questions and comments. Tony or Anna, are you available to be able to attend people?
Yeah, there's 3 persons raised hands in the attendees. The first one is Andy Mandel. Next one is Peter Vogt. And the third one is Rosa Besser. So Andy, you can unmute yourself and start to talk.
Okay, is there enough room for an island at that crossing? It looks to me like you're going to have to squeeze down the bike lane, which seems like you're creating a bigger issue. I don't know, putting an island at that crosswalk just does not seem like it'll physically fit and make a lot of sense.
It does, it fits. There is a room for a bike lane and a full-size travel lane and a median.
Right now, today, without the island, there's barely enough room.
Right now, we're still in construction. Once this construction is over,
The road is not being widened any further where the crosswalk is.
it is being widened.
Where the crosswalk is?
Yes, the curb is.
So you're moving the crosswalk?
No, crosswalk will be there. The road is widened up from.
Okay.
Why don't you put your layout?
Pardon?
I recommend to see the geometric layout, so that may answer your questions, Andy. This is Robert Rolda.
Yep.
I do not have the geometric layout available because this is a project that's currently in construction. It wasn't part of this presentation, but there is a power support pole that will be removed, and the road is getting widened there. So there is enough room for.
I understand where the power
Question.
pole is being moved, where the sidewalk and the signal is today for the crosswalk. The widening project does not go to that point. That's not being moved at all. And so whatever's there today is what's there today. It's going to be there tomorrow.
Andy, you can email me directly,
Okay,
and I can show you an exhibit with the dimensions.
okay.
Thank you.
Next person, Peter Wall. Peter, you're next.
I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation this evening. It takes this project that much further. It creates a reality to it. One detailed question I had was looking at the surface of the parking area at Wild Walnut Park. Right now, it's wood shavings, and obviously you want to improve that. I want to make sure that we make sure that this surface is permeable rather than a pavement or asphalt. It should be something that is visually, aesthetically aligned with the rustic, rural look of the area. And if we could consider having a permeable surface, that would go a long way toward that.
We can look into that as usual. Great comment. We will look into.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Just one real quick follow-on question. The second and third phases, the succeeding phases, what's the general time frame for those?
That is availability of funding. We will have design completed this year. And based on what funding we have available, we'll schedule both phases as one, or we'll separate it into two phases. And hopefully we'll start construction for second phase next summer.
And last question, you know that I ask a lot of questions. Looking at the pedestrian, the sidewalk to go from the vicinity of the high school to Wild Walnut Park, it appears as if the sidewalk, their sidewalk, there'll be a crossing from the high school side to the other side, and then continuing on to Wild Walnut Park. Will there be a sidewalk built along the frontage opposite the high school, along Mulholland, or will that remain unimproved as it is now?
I can answer that. Remain unimproved. There is that 11-acre. As soon as we see improvement on that, they have to dedicate and build their frontage.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
You're welcome, Peter. As usual, great questions. Thank you.
So Rosa, you're next. Rosa Pesher.
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, I'm Rosa Besser, and my love is for Wild Walnut Park. I am thrilled that there will be sidewalk pedestrian access to the park, because now we can move to a public park with our kids in hand and our dogs in hand. I am also interested in the makeup of the composition of the parking lot as to, I believe that there is a water issue, as you mentioned, and what would be the materials used for the car parking, and what is the disability access.
Rosa, I can take on that one since I'm coordinating with Erica, our Community Services Director. At this time, there's a conceptual plan. We haven't reached the point what will be the material that we're going to use for the parking lot. As it was mentioned, speaker prior to you, he did ask same thing. So what we're going to do is with our consultant, we're going to look into see what is the most environmental friendly premium surface that we can do. Also, this parking lot will allow 2 disabled or ADA parking spaces that will lead us to the gate of the parking, the dog park itself.
Okay. Well, I certainly hope that it goes out and starts building out in the summer. There is still a question as to when the dog park area will be built out. Has there been any discussion on coordination to that aspect?
Yes, Rosa. As I said, Erica, our new Community Services Director, has rehired the same architect that did the original dog park design. They are working on that one. Soon she will make presentation on that one. You will see the enhancement of the dog park and the park itself. What we could do with this project for cost saving, since we are doing road work, sidewalk, we thought we can have an add-on to build the parking lot, curb and gutters and driveway, as Michael mentioned, and the water flow, and they're gonna design it somehow that the water gets captured and is not gonna be like the way it is. I know every year when there is a lot of rain, we have muds and water flowing all over. And hopefully with the new design of MNNS group, we will coordinate.
You know what? The phone answered itself. Oh, your mother is like, I don't know what.
I'm sorry. You got my explanation.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. And you know how eager we are to have moved this project along with Wild Walnut Park. So thank you for all your efforts. And we'll be right there if you need any labor, because that's how eager we are to get the dirt out.
I know, Rosa, I know you well, and hopefully this dog park will be great for our dogs.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next one will be Andy Schrader.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. You know, I find words very important, and you know, some of the folks were talking about this as an improvement, but those of us who live up Old Topanga Canyon see this as an encroachment of pavement into our wild area. So, so I just want to emphasize this isn't really a fully supported project. What I missed the very beginning, I was having trouble logging in. Could somebody please give me a brief overview of what the purpose of this is?
Yes, sure. This project is improving the road safety by lengthening left turn lanes at both intersections with Old Topanga. It will signalize Old Topanga Canyon West intersection and will improve access to the Wild Walnut Park. It will provide pedestrian improvements with sidewalk on the south side of Mulholland and a crosswalk crossing from the high school side to the south side.
Now, is there a lot of pedestrian traffic right now that this is solving for?
There is a pedestrian traffic, yes, connecting the two intersections, especially for the Wild Walnut Park.
You haven't really seen that very much. So with the parking lot, in the presentation, it showed a pretty like black top. And I agree with the other callers who talked about it needs to be permeable. You also need to watch out for the heat island impact. It's a pretty seriously hot part of the city, and it's going to be out there in the sun with no shade. I would encourage a tree or two or several to be planted. And because folks who use the park are going to burn their dog's feet, frankly, if they're using that. And then the other thing that I've really noticed as someone who uses this constantly, there are deer who cross in between Old Topanga Canyon Road and the high school stoplight, and sort of at the curve. And I've seen a pretty major deer got hit a couple of months ago and killed. And then I've seen that deer's family dashing across the road. So I don't know if there's a possibility of putting more deer signage, or I'm hoping that the stoplight will slow people down a little bit. But it's they use it as a wildlife corridor, and whatever you're building there needs to take that into account, so that you're not blocking the corridor, but you're actually protecting them so they can cross. The deer live up in the sort of the little box canyon up in Old Topanga, and they cross down there to go get water. So it's important to protect people from the deer collisions, but also important to protect the deer so they can get across, and make sure that they can still get across. So don't put too high of barriers. There was some talk about putting up walls and things. So I urge you to make sure you do that as you're doing this. And so what's the next stage of this? Is there a next stage that's supposed to go up to Viewpoint, or what's next?
Yes, the development of Mulholland further from Old Topanga to the city limits is the future phase of this project. And right now we're just doing the phase 1, and we're planning on construction this summer, and then we will proceed with future phases. Yes.
So you're going to put sidewalks all the way up?
No, sidewalks, they're not included. It's more of improvements for like around Viewpoint School for the turn lanes and erosion protection and the shoulder improvements.
And how will this intersect with the proposed development that there was a public meeting for a couple of weeks ago?
I can answer that question, Tatiana. We coordinate with any future development. Andy, you brought a great comment. So deer crossing is something I don't think we need to wait for this project. I will look into that process, see if we can do preliminary signage. I see my associate civil engineer is looking at it. We will look into see if we can expedite installing the signs for deer crossing. You had a great comment about the parking lot. We will see if we can add some tree shades to the parking lot itself. Follow up on this one, I believe there is a document. We have done the planning process of this entire corridor. If you share your email with Tatiana or myself, we will send you the document, or they're on our website. And you can look into those drawings and understand the entire corridor, why we are doing it, what is the need, and what was the demand, and why council has asked us to proceed with this project. And that will answer a lot of your questions and concerns, but if you have additional questions, you can call me or call Tatiana. We will help you out to understand the project. The reason we are pushing this portion of the project forward, unfortunately, since this corridor is so crowded with schools, our opportunities are summertime. And we were fortunate enough that MNNS are helping us out to have the project ready. We want to advertise it in a couple of months, award it through council, and have the contractor ready to go. The day that high school enters the summer school, we get in the street, get the project going between the two Old Topanga. I hope I answered most of your questions. And if there is anything else, you're more than welcome to email us. We'd be more than happy to coordinate or answer your questions.
So So you can't answer about how this intersects with future development plans?
Well, as you know, that's just a proposal. We already showed them our master plan. Their access point will basically coordinate with this project. The rest of the development is a private development. So it has nothing to do with this project.
Okay, last comment, which is, since I think I have the right people on the call, the parking lot of the high school has a stoplight in front of it. And when I am driving home late at night, it often stops and goes through an entire, like it stops me for a whole, red light when there's
Right.
no cars there and the gate is closed. So I urge you to take a look at that particular stoplight too.
We can do that. It's got to be some kind of malfunctioning on the loop detectors in the high school that keeps on recalling the signal to stop. Otherwise, there's no other reason. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, it's
bringing that
fine
to
if
our
there's
attention.
cars coming. I don't mind if there's cars coming out. It's just silly to sit there in the middle of the night when there's no other cars even around.
I hear you, Andy. We're going to look into it.
Thank you,
Okay.
Andy, for your comment.
Okay, next person will be Albert.
Hi, good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I want to thank you for the presentation. I thought it was well done. It's an exciting project. It looks like our city is growing up little by little. Some really good comments tonight, a couple of which I was going to mention, but I love the deer comment for the deer signs. That's really great. I mean, that's where we are around, forest and woodland. So it's a good thing to have, and I respect for it. And I also like the comment about the surface of the dog park, which is also the park itself. So hopefully you'll come up with a good surface. I know you will, and look into it. The main the main point I'd like to point out, we've been living here almost over 28 years. And I've seen a couple of accidents, one when our kids were in high school. I want to go through it, but it was on to Old Topanga coming to where that light is going to be. So I'd just like to remind you, and I used to take that all the time going downtown, so I can take Old Topanga with my eyes closed. So when you're coming toward Mulholland, it's downhill. It's dicey when it's wet. Sometimes you can go a little bit too fast on the way down. Everybody's in a hurry to get home. And if the people are making a turn into the park, that's a danger signal right there. And inadvertently, things can happen. So I'd like to suggest some signage to slow people down before they get to that point. It doesn't have to be obnoxious. I know I want to respect the people in Topanga. They like to have their nature and the privacy, but still the value of safety, takes priority over that. So some kind of signage, soft signage that people would recognize would be very, very helpful.
Thank you.
So good luck with the project. We're looking forward to seeing it. It really looks great. Thank you all.
Okay, Robert and Tatiana, there are some questions in the Q&A. Do you guys want to address that?
Yes, I can read the questions. Question number 1, will you be allowing left turn onto Walmart from Calabasas High School lot? When will the city be adding a traffic light at this intersection? The left turns on the Walmart, on the high school parking lot are allowed when the gate is not closed. If you're talking about the left turns from the parking lot to Walmart, that there's no left turn. The traffic light at that intersection is not warranted. We will be constructing the pedestrian refuge island with the flashing beacon sign, which will improve safety at the intersection. I hope I answered your questions. Next question is from Peter Walk. That I think he was already asking that. That's about permeable surface for wild walnut parking lot. There's a question from Andy Mandel. He said, thanks, I did find it on the city website. Oh, this is about the Mulholland highway study. Great, thank you very much, Andy, for letting us know. And also he's saying this AM, very supportive Mulholland Highway project, but this is the first I have seen the island by the crosswalk. That's why we showed it at this presentation. Thank you for your comments. That's all I have in the Q&A section. Do we have more raised hands?
Text. I have a couple of texts. I don't know why they text my phone, but that's fine. They're supportive of the project. They're appreciating that you're doing our best to start the construction right as soon as high school is done for summer break. And I want to thank our team, MNNS. They're doing their best to help us out with this process. So far, we've been successful. On phase 2, we will have full environmental impact study. There is certain aspect of this project that we're going to be handling in phase 2. And the only reason we are doing this part is based on the demand and the needs and the student safety. I don't have any other comment, but if any of the member of public have a question, please send it through the website. I know somehow they have my phone number. So Tatiana, check your text. You may get calls, but so far I received 2 very supportive on this project, and we are looking forward to complete the project package. And also we will have a presentation to council to award the project. So it's still next step that we will make more presentation. But the reason Tatiana, Michael, the entire team, thank you for doing this, is opportunity for public to see the project, make comments, and help us out to design this the way our city always does, being state of the art, and also move forward with, Ed said it nicely, we are growing little by little. And also I wanna thank Alba, our associate civil engineer. She's gonna definitely help us out with some of the interim signage or anything else we need to move forward. So it's not that the comments are only for this project. It's something we can do now, we will do it. Maybe in a couple of weeks, you will see some deer crossing signage going up, and also any other public safety we can do. Other than that, as a public work director, I want to thank the entire team. And this will be televised. Robert? We may get more comments. Yes, somebody said Robert.
I'm sorry, I got a couple of questions. One of them I got from Andy Mandel. He said that he did find the city website and is supportive of the Mulholland project, but he wanted to, he had seen the island by the crosswalk. Then I got another one that stated the proposed design that Tatiana had initially shown. Where is that intersection?
This intersection is Old Topanga and Calabasas High School driveway, the exit driveway.
Okay. I think they were not, they were questioning as far as where the island was. They weren't getting, I guess, the clarification, and they looked on the website and they couldn't find it. So I hope those answered your questions. I got those actually.
Thank you, Anna.
You're welcome.
Michael, anything else for the closing?
No, I think it sounds like everybody's positive. I did not hear any questions as far as the design elements that we're proposing. So besides the parking lot.
Yeah, and also I believe Andy and a couple of other members of public mentioned deer crossing. I just want to mention, when we look at aerial photo, even though we're going to build the walls and stuff, it's going to be area that deers can cross, and we will have the signage appropriately posted. We have done this in other part of the corridor. If you look at across from Gilson, those are the kind of wall we are talking about. In beginning, everybody was a little bit worried, but now that is landscape, it's staying, it's gonna be look a part of the nature and the local. And I believe the team is pretty sensitive about all those issues and also keeping it consistent with the entire corridor. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Turn it over
Thank
to
you,
you.
Michael.
and
Thank
I'm
you.
done.
Thank you, Robert. I just would like to add that participants in this meeting, if you have other questions or comments that you forgot to ask or have more later on, you can always email the city. You can always email me at tholden@cityofcalabasas.com. And if you'll talk to your neighbors and they were not able to participate in this workshop, but also have questions, they also can email. And this workshop will be available also on YouTube. So please feel free, email, but I would like to give you until Wednesday, March 16th to email your comments, so we will have enough time to accommodate them in our design. Thank you very much for attending the workshop. Goodbye.
This will conclude our presentation. Thank you all, and let's work hard to finish the project for construction. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.